Hey guys, welcome back to another YouTube video. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to enable depth of field on your camera to get some really cool blurred background effects. So let's go ahead and open up a new document so I can show you exactly how to do that. So I'm going to do File, New, General. I'm going to save my current document. I'm going to go ahead and delete my light source here. I'm going to delete my cube and I'm going to add in a round cube. You can also add in a sphere, whatever you prefer. I think a round cube is better, so I'm going to actually do that. I am going to go ahead and shade that smooth. And then I'm going to set my camera up so it's just facing the sphere from like the y-axis here. So I'm going to click on my camera, pop out this tab right here. I'm going to reset every single thing to 0, including the x-axis. I'm going to rotate my camera on the x-axis by 90. And then I'm going to move it back like that so it's still facing our object. I'm going to snap to my camera. I'm going to quickly save this to the desktop as depth of field. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my rendered view and I'm going to switch over to our Cycles render engine, device, GPU, and now I'm just going to add in an environment texture. So right now we have a colored background. I'm going to click that little dot right there. I'm going to click on environment texture. Everything's going to turn pink because we have to decide what our background is going to be. I'm going to click on open. I'm going to locate my folder where all my HDRIs are located. All of these were downloaded from Polyhaven, which will be included in the link in the description. I'm going to go ahead and select this one right here, which is just a nice outdoor scene. Now, really all you have to do to enable depth of field is you have to click on this little camera icon on the right-hand side here, and you just click on depth of field, and now it's enabled. But you're not going to notice any difference until you really start messing with the camera settings. The first thing we can do, which is really useful, is we can click on this eyedropper tool and we can actually select the object that we want to focus in on. So I'm going to select this round cube. I'm going to quickly give this round cube a shader. I'm just going to give it a metallic shader with a little bit of a low roughness, just so we can see what's going on here. Now I'm going to go to the camera and I'm going to go ahead and start lowering the f-stop. I'm going to start at 0.1 and you're going to see how much of a dramatic difference this is right away. So there's 0.1 and we already have our blurred background. Our camera by default is set to a 50mm focal length. So if we want to really start messing with this focal length even more and getting the greater depth of field, we can go ahead and raise this to an 85mm, which is standard for film. And I'm going to back this up on the y-axis just a little bit to give us some breathing room around our sphere. And then I'm going to go to my sphere, lower the roughness even more so I can see that nice reflection. And now I'm going to show you guys a tip on how to easily decide what your depth of field is going to look like. If you go to the left of our render preview, you're going to see something called the material preview. And now we'll be able to really see what's in focus here more accurately and more quickly than we would in rendered view. So if we go back to our camera, we can go ahead and click on our f-stop and hold shift, and we can raise it until everything is in focus. And it looks like an f-stop of 1.4 has everything in focus for us right here. So if we go back to render view, you'll see we still have that nice blurred background, but now our whole object is in focus. But if you don't like that effect, you can actually lower it again to something even more intense. Like I still think that looks good. That's an f-stop of 0.4. So we still have those nice blurred blurred edges around our object, and then everything in the background is completely blurred. So that's how you just get some nice depth of field really quickly, which can add a whole nother level to your render. So I definitely think this is a nice technique to use when it comes to rendering animations and images in Blender. And then if you want to, you can actually go onto your sphere here, go into your modifiers, and just add a subdivision surface modifier because those edges look not too hot. So I'm going to go ahead and raise that to 2 subdivisions on the viewport and the render. And as you can see, we have a nice blurred background. Very simple, and under, I think that was probably 2 or 3 minutes that I just covered that, and it looks awesome. So that's just a super easy way to do that. Now, there's different lens types on your camera. Like you can pretty much make it whatever you want. So I'm just going to duplicate this sphere. Shift D was to duplicate, and I'm going to scale it down and just put it right here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to click on my camera. I'm going to press G, which is the shortcut to move. So now we're moving our camera. I'm just going to move it up and kind of center that sphere. And then we're going to click on our camera. We're going to do something crazy here. We're going to zoom in on this sphere very closely. I'm going to center it just a little bit more in our scene here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click on the X where it says round cube here under depth of field for focus object. So I'm going to get rid of that. And now we're going to adjust this manually. So I'm going to zoom in really far to our sphere here. I'm going to hold shift on our distance. And we're just going to slowly bring this into focus here. That looks pretty good. We're at about 10 meters there. That looks pretty good there. And then if you really want to push this to the next level with your focus, you can bring it down to like 0.2. And now it's really intense. Or you can bring it down to 0.1. As you can see, our focal length is something that you would never see in real life. It's 258 millimeters, which I don't even think I've ever seen a lens like that in real life. So I'm going to bump our f-stop back up to 0.5 for now. That looks pretty good. Maybe 0.2. All right. Now, hold on. 0.3. All right, we'll give it 0.3. That looks pretty good. There's just one more step that I'm going to take this to show you guys how to get a really, really cool effect for your render. So before I show you how to add this compositing that we're about to add, I'm going to go into my max sample count, and I'm just going to make that 150. And we have our denoising checked on. So now I'm going to go ahead and render this. Let's go ahead and see how long this takes. It should not take long at all. It's going to take about 4 seconds. Here's our completed render. Everything is looking really good. The depth of field is there. It's what we're looking for. But I'm going to show you something that's going to push this to the next level. So I'm going to X out of this. I'm going to head over to my compositing tab. I'm going to click on use nodes. And now we're going to have 2 nodes. We're going to have our rendered layer nodes and our composite nodes. I'm going to go ahead and add in a viewer node. Now to add in nodes, guys, you go up here to add, and you can search any node that you want. So we have a viewer node that we've added, and now I'm going to add something called lens distortion. And then I'm going to put it in between our image and our composite, and Blender is automatically going to hook these nodes up for us. And then our image output, I'm going to connect that to our viewer here. So now we have everything connected properly. Now you're probably wondering, I don't see anything right now, and that's because we haven't adjusted the settings for our lens distortion yet. What I'm going to do is under the dispersion value, I'm going to click on 0.1, and you're going to see a huge difference, and then we're going to fine tune it to however we like. So as you can see around the edges here, just ever so subtly, it's going to actually give us this chromatic aberration that you would actually get with a real life cinema lens or just any lens that's super close to an object. And you can raise this as high as you want. This will be 0.5, which is way too intense in my opinion, but if that's what you prefer, that's fine. I'm going to keep mine at 0.05. So it's just going to be ever so slightly subtle that you do notice it. I notice it around the edges of the perimeter of our render. You might not, I do, and it will add that extra element of super macro focused in lens effect. So when you go ahead and render that, that is what you're going to get. Now, like I said, guys, you can go ahead and max this out at whatever value you want. You can do 0.5, super intense. You can see the RGB splitting right here, but that's not what I'm going for, so I'm going to set it back to 0.05. And guys, that is pretty much it. You can re-render your image if you want to, but you really don't have to. And then it's going to go ahead and add that compositing at the end there. So give that 1 second. And as you can see, at the end here, or at the edge, we have that nice green splitting of the colors. And even just ever so subtly on the outer edge of our sphere here, you have it as well. So that is pretty much how you add depth of field in Blender. Super simple. Just wanted to drop this quick tutorial to show you guys how to do that. It's really, really easy, and you can completely customize it to your liking. The reason we're using an HDRI here is because it's just a nice background to add, but you guys can add whatever you want behind your object that you're trying to focus in on. So super awesome. Definitely go ahead and check out my Instagram where I posted a reel where I actually test Blender's camera to its limits. And I show you guys the how far you can zoom in, which is actually up to 5 meters, a 5-meter lens, which is just absolutely insane. But you're able to get some really cool effects with that, and it's completely customizable and of course free because Blender is free. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this one. Please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. There will be more great content like this soon. And again, if there's anything that you want to learn, drop it down in the comments below. I'd be super excited to cover it in a future tutorial. All right, guys, take it easy, and I will see you in the next one.